Welcome to Fuck Around and Find Out, a podcast for finding your way through owning your own business. I'm Emily.
I'm Christine.
And I'm Ra.
Ooh.
Hello.
Insert banter here.
Hello, banter.
That's right.
Oh, you're
Welcome.
literally reading the script. Okay,
Yeah,
got
I'm
it
literally reading
now.
the script.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Got it. You got
Is
to
that
do it
not
with the
what-
bold voice.
is that
though.
what-
Didn't I put
No,
bold
that's
around
right.
it? or
It's
something?
italicized,
Yes.
italics.
Oh,
I don't know how to
yes.
do an italic
Okay.
voice.
Oh, so I'll do it on an angle.
Yeah, I'll talk like this. Cock my hand to the side.
That's right.
So how you doing, Em?
Good, guys. Welcome to one of the early episodes of 2025. I think this is episode number 3 for the year.
Something like that.
And we're here today to pick everyone's brains and make you all think about the importance of planning.
Well,
Planning.
This is not my strong point, not going to lie.
And goal setting.
Yep.
So everyone who has listened to me before will know that I'm a mad planner. I am a typical organizer. I like to have things in my brain so I can start working on them. And I'm not very good with spontaneity. And I like to have some idea of what the fuck's going on because then I can prepare for it. But I also am typically a bit closeted ADHD and do the opposite of that a lot of the time too. But planning for business, I think, is one of the utmost important things
Oh my God.
you can do.
Totally. There is that quote, fail to plan, you're planning to fail.
Exactly right. And I think this is what we wanted to talk about. So we have just been running a planning session. So we are going to bring to you some of the tips and bits and pieces we have pulled out from that to talk about today and make people think about their business. So obviously brand new year means the ability to reset and recharge and
New
all
year,
that stuff.
new me.
Yeah, do you, whatever works for you. But it gives you the opportunity to almost, I say this bit tongue-in-cheek, but blank slate it a little bit because you do start afresh. It's a new year. You can work on what's going on. Yes, we obviously have things that linger from the previous year that come across. But it's a new year. As Ra said, new you. You can do whatever the hell you want and you can change it up however you want. But the key to life and business is planning. Plan yourself. Plan yourself around it all.
Yep.
Yes.
So one of the things that we do every year is obviously sit down and plan. And our previous episode, you would have heard us say about how our last 2024 wouldn't have been what it would have been if we hadn't started it off with a good planning day.
That's right.
Especially for Chris and I, we sat down, we really did a bit of a plan, a brainstorm of what we wanted to get through. And I reckon if we were to look at that now, we would have ticked a lot of those boxes.
I agree.
And was really a bit of a blueprint for us for success in a sense. I mean, life does happen and things get in the way, but we tend to look at it from a yearly perspective and then review every 3 months, every quarter, 90 days, baby. You got to reassess and realign because the world happens to us all. So we're here today to talk about planning, and the way in which we go about planning as well. So my favorite thing is letting your subconscious work about it. But my question to everyone is, how do you run a business if you haven't got a plan? What are you doing? What's your goals? Where do you want to be?
Fucking wing it.
Exactly.
Fly by the seat of your pants.
I mean, that works for a small period of time.
I know, but if you want to grow
if you want to grow, yeah.
Yeah. And without having goals, plans, some form of an idea, even if it's just dot points.
Even if it's reflecting on what didn't go so fantastic and what did from the year before to work out, what you're not going to do again.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Exactly.
Oh, I am so insane.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, it's having a plan in place, having measurable goals, as you said, which is trigger word right there. To set yourself
What, measurable or goals? Because they're both, they're triggering
Depends
me.
on which way you want to go.
Double, yeah.
But you need to have an idea of have you succeeded? And I know I very much butt against the word failure. I'm not a failure person.
There is no
Learning
such thing.
Exactly right. There is absolutely no such thing. I think it's the worst word to get into people's heads.
Yeah. Yep.
No one fails. Things just you reset. That's all you do.
Well, that's right. You just get back up
Trial and
again
error.
and do
Life is trial and error.
I often say, there is not one recipe only in this world for chocolate cake.
Exactly.
There's millions of them.
And you
That
interpret
is
it your own
different
way.
ways to get an end result.
And then if you're Nigella Lawson, you just, go nuts and just whatever floats your boat, you put in.
You don't call
That's
it a
right.
goal, you call it a microwave.
Oh,
Yeah, there you
Yes.
go. Microwave.
Microwave.
So, I don't like that. But success is also very measurable based on what your own definition of success is. There is no one definition. And that's something, and I've spent a lot of my life rejigging my mindset to understand that what I have done is not someone else's definition of success, but it doesn't mean it's not mine.
No, that's right. And also your definitions of success can change as you grow and change, and your business does. So what was success in 2022 is different to 23, 24,
Absolutely.
and obviously different in 25.
And it's so fine for your business to change and move. Like our business changed. We made a big decision in our business in 2024, the beginning after our planning day in 2024. To pivot the way in which we were going to. It was a small thing on the grand scheme, but it was a mindset shift for us and a behavioural and a communication change for us in how we were going to address our business and what we were going to, how we were to consider ourselves. And that was, I think, the starting point, a small thing, but a huge thing in the end, because it helped us create clarity around who we wanted to be.
Yes.
And that was, we've been in business coming up 2 years, even though we've had our own individuals for a lot longer than that. But it was a definite changing point, I think, for us with our business. Again, came out of a planning day, which is fabulous. So, we talk about goal setting, and our favourite little thing with goal setting is SMART.
Oh my God, smart
goals.
Oh God, you take me back to my corporate days.
Yeah,
so
they're important.
Specific, measurable,
attainable,
achievable,
relevant,
time-bound.
Yes.
So, look, I'm a bit of a butter of the trends. As much as I love to plan, I also think the concept of HR, the process of KPIs, and I fucking hate all that stuff. Yep. I think they're often done as a measure of to fail people, not to actually help them succeed. Yep. I think, especially in a corporate setting, a lot of the times
ticks a culprit box.
Yeah, they are, and they're actually designed to fuck you over. I don't think they're there to help in any shape or form.
It's there in case you need to be performance managed.
Exactly right. Yep. It's a fail safe, and I hate that personally. And so we use the SMART goal word, but it does come in handy when you are trying to work your way backwards from, if you want to achieve, I want to earn X amount of money.
Yep.
We listen to our lovely accountant.
Absolutely.
Who I believe is probably coming up either after this episode.
Sometime soon. Yep.
Hey, David. And, he has a perfect formula for working backwards from where you want to be, but working backwards, not forwards.
Yep.
And it's the same kind of concept. You know where you want to go, and then you got to break that down through your SMART goals to work out how to get there and where to go. But having a goal is key, because then you plan around your goal. Yep. That's how you work. And when it comes to planning, I think it's also, you got to have multiple goals in your business. So for someone like Juniper Road and probably Rye Gardner, we are
limited.
Yeah, PGY. We are both service-based businesses. All right. So we don't have products. It's our skill sets that is our product. Yep. So for us, the ultimate goal is obviously make money and to keep afloat and to make sure we all can take a salary of some kind, eat, put food on the table. But we need to build business in order to do that. And in order to do that, that's the goal, right? So Chris and I can't be doing 60 hours a week of client work and build business.
No, we can't.
Because that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And
that was the first thing I learned when I started.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit. Yeah. And I can't just be doing.
Yeah. No, there's a difference between working in your business and working on your business.
Yes. Yep. And planning is all about on your business.
And a little bit in.
But
you need to allow for the ability, like when we're looking at our days, we need to allow for the fact that we need to have a CEO day.
Yes.
We need the day to be able to work on the business and not be caught in the weeds of it all. We need time to allow us to go and network and to go and do the outward socialization part of that gives us a lot of potential clients and exposes us to the right audiences for clients. Yep. So we need to plan that into our process as well. But also, given that Chris has got an almost 18-year-old, I have tiny people in comparison, and school pickups and their requirements and home life requirements. We also got to work around that too. Right. And we also, at some point or another, as we've discovered from our previous episodes, the Christmas holidays is not a break.
Nope.
By any means. It's like a baby break.
So part of the planning is planning to take a break from business.
Yeah. So that's where our lovely planning comes into place, and that's where the importance of it. So, how does one plan? Well, firstly, I think you should jump on our website and go and get our lovely workbook, the Women in Business Collective 2025
Still warm
Business
off
Planner.
the press. Yes.
Very warm off the press. This will help give you some guides and some tools. Anyone that attended our Biz Planning Day recently will have received one as part of that. We have several topics that we cover to help you work through last year, what worked and didn't work for last year, what were your top 5 goals for this year, setting your goals, getting your team and support goals, which build a stronger support network, and team dynamic goals for better collaboration, boundaries, and work-life balance. Always a huge one.
Oh, yeah.
Creating healthy boundaries to maintain a balanced personal and professional life. One of the things I love to do, if you have the ability to sit down and do it, 100 things to do. Create a list of 100 things you aim to achieve or experience in 2025. And what to do when everything sucks. So a few of these topics we will talk about in upcoming episodes. But, you know, we go through all of these in our guide. Great place to start. Jump on the website, download that, and work through it. It'll help give you some direction and clarity with how we work and what we're talking about here. But planning. Where do you even start? What are you looking at? You got to factor in. What did we look at when we started? School holidays.
Yep.
For Chris, she's got HSC this year, so that was a big one. What are the key dates for HSC? Yeah. What is your life dates? Where do you start with that? Things that you have no way of being away from.
Yep.
You've got to be part of it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Do that first. What is your goal and how do you want to achieve that? And what is your timeframes for achieving that goal? One of our goals for last year was get an office.
Yes.
Yep. And we did that.
You did.
We have different thoughts on that.
We have incredibly different thoughts on that.
Trial and error.
Absolutely.
But if you didn't try it, you'd be wondering if that's the winning ticket.
Exactly.
You know? So we can put plan. We're going to talk about the plan around X out, you know.
Backtrack that one. But, you know, we got to work on it. And I tend to do planning and coincide it with a bit of content planning at the same time. Is how I like to work, because it does flow in the same method. You look at a 3-month period of time, you look at the key dates that are coming up, you look at what you've got on your calendar coming up. You've got to work out what you can work within that section as well, and go from there. And then it's just making sure you're following up with it is the key. Reassessing, that's why we say 90 days.
Yep.
3 months, every quarter, check back in, see how you're tracking.
Yep.
Where you are, your goals completely changed. Have you decided to completely pivot your business? Totally fine. You do that. You just got to rework it back into your goals. Exactly. You got to rework it back into your plan and keep your time frame going. Are there any major events that you want to go to at some point in this year? Have you put them into your plan? Have you put them into your budget? Because that's what leads on from this is your financial budget.
Yep.
As well.
Yep.
To work all those bad boys out. Have you budgeted for it? Have you planned for it? Have you set your goals for it?
Yep. And the other thing is, and I'm not very good at following it, but I do have time blocked out for it in my diary.
Yeah.
To work on it.
And it depends on the person with how that works.
Yeah.
You know, I'm shockingly bad at it, but I think I'm going to go a little bit
different this
down
year?
that path. I know I've taught Chris out of doing it last year. I'm going to, at least for certain things, I need to do it just to try and remind myself to do it. You know, like one of the things for me that I've just been talking to these guys at nauseum about is my now desire to do journaling this year and really track behaviors and habits and sleep patterns and really try and encourage myself to exercise and walk and do those little mindset shifts in order for me to be able to focus more on me this year. And my health and my well-being. And so I'm going to put some journaling time in my diary every day so I remember to do that as well. But, you know, my plan has changed drastically from last year because I don't have to go to do school drop-off anymore. We've got one drop-off instead of 2. My littlest one is starting kindy this year. So that's a big change for me in my plan, and my ability to be flexible is astronomically changed.
Absolutely.
It's probably a bit more painful at the end of the day, but it's more freer in the morning. Just need to make myself a morning person now. Flip that shit up. But it means that my plan from last year is completely different. What I am able to do is different again. But yeah, it's the key to life.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. And as you say, Em, it's about reassessing it every 90 or so days because
that's the key.
Things jump up and change, and you know. And that's the really big key is the reassessment. You can sit down and go through it all and plan it, but
you need to actually make sure you're still tracking to plan.
Well, that's right. And some things you put in place, you think, yes, you're a morning person. You think you're going to get up and flip into that really quickly. You know what, after 90 days I realised, no, that doesn't work. So I need to change it because I cannot get up at 5:30 a.m. or something like that.
I'm definitely not that person
Well,
anymore.
I used to be that person at 5:30 all through, juggling full-time work and school, drop off and pick up and daycare and everything. So 5:30 was my alarm clock. I don't do that, slowly changing the body clock from 5:30. But that's the thing. You've got to actually, things you put in place that you think are going to answer something don't work out. So you've got to work out another way.
And
it's
that's
also
the realistic part comes into play with the SMART goals.
And that's what the point of it, right? It's actually about reframing how you talk about it as well. And then, I'm just reading something here that says research in neuroscience shows that goals tied to emotional significance have a much higher chance of being achieved. This is because emotion creates a stronger neural connection and motivates action even when motivation is low. And their example is, instead of setting a goal to lose 20 kilos, try and frame it as I want to have the energy to play with my kids without getting winded. So shifting that mentality, shifting the wording in your brain can do such big things.
Oh, totally.
And that's where it goes down the path of the steps to actually plan with your goal. Step one is usually reverse engineer. Like we said before, you start at the end goal and you work backwards. What is it you want to achieve? What do you need to do? What's the time frame? You break it backwards and then you end up with your starting point.
And if it's not and that way you work out, yes, it's not achievable in that time frame, but it's achievable in a different one, or I've got to reassess what actually I want the end goal to be.
And it's pretty normal.
If the time frame's important.
It's pretty normal to have quick wins, low-hanging fruit. You can jump on that straight away and then you work your bigger ones.
That's why I always start my to-do list with something I've already done.
Yeah.
Love it.
Because the act of ticking that box.
But that's also what your brain needs.
Yes.
Your brain needs that to kind of make it. Like we were talking about it before, I start my morning a lot of the time, weirdly, with doing ironing. And most people hate ironing, but I find it weirdly cathartic, and I feel like I've actually achieved. To enjoy it. It's very warm, I won't lie, especially at the moment, and no air conditioning in my house.
Yeah, don't iron.
It's the satisfaction for me is having it clean, crisp clothes put away, and it's done. That task is done, and I don't have to think about it again. But I already feel like I've achieved something for the day, so it sets my mind in the right place. Yeah, which is why I clean a lot first thing in the morning. Yeah, it's weird. The next step is resource assessment. Do you have everything you need to achieve this goal? Yay or nay? This includes time, money, skill, support, and you got to be brutally honest. If you're wanting to learn a new skill, you got to factor in time for it. If you're wanting to hit X amount of money but you don't have capacity, you need to look at outsourcing. If you're, let's look at it from a business perspective, from our individual services businesses. One of the things I know you're struggling with, Ra, is capacity. Yep. And looking at, do you need to make that decision whether you need to outsource or not? Yep. We've got the team behind us, and we need to make that decision on which things we need to put to our team versus keep with us.
Absolutely. And then there's that thing about, not just what can you do to not just do that straight swap of time for money? What are your services? How can you package and price so that you aren't just doing that swap, which takes a lot of time.
It does, but it also leads into the bigger conversation of, are you priced correctly to pay your people correctly? Because we know that's something that's a hot topic for all of us. People deserve to be paid what they deserve to be paid. And if we haven't priced ourselves properly, that's our fault, not theirs.
Oh, absolutely. And for a long time, we've had some work we can't give to somebody else because it's legacy type work. Yeah. And then when you look at the new stuff, well, we know in our head it's going to be somebody in the team doing it. So this is how we're going to go in and quote for it. Exactly. And it's not ripping people off. No. It's being remunerated properly.
Yeah. Exactly. Then step 3 is then habit integration. Identify daily habits that will allow you to move forward towards your goal. They are achieved through systems, not through willpower.
Oh, my God.
Systems over power.
Absolutely.
So what are the little behavioral things you can do every day, which for me, again, I was talking about journaling. It's a daily thing because they say it takes, 3 weeks to really get a proper routine?
Well, 28 days. So if anyone's struggles with forming habits, if you get a copy of James Clear's Atomic Habits to really help doing some personal and business goals. But generally the rule of thumb is it's 28 days to form a new habit. But obviously you then really need to keep going. So that 90-day thing is really doing 3 lots of that to ingrain it.
Yeah. And so that's important. And the next step is obstacle anticipation. This is very crucial and is often overlooked.
Yep.
What could go wrong? What might prevent you from achieving this goal?
All the things.
You know.
Oh my
and
God.
then it's what's your backup plan?
Yep.
Yes.
So basically, like what teachers have to do with excursions and things, it's do the risk assessment.
Yes.
Yeah. A SWOT analysis almost.
Yeah.
You know, when we've got an episode coming up about what to do when shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Which we've all fucking been there for.
Yeah.
And it's just that backup plan. It's what would stop you. And it's okay if things push you back and your timelines don't often meet up to what they got to be, but you just got to have a way to pivot.
Yep.
As we love to say. Good old friend.
Pivot.
And then it's progress tracking. How are you measuring your goal? How are you working through your list? Is it a journal? Is it an app? Is it a regular check-in with an accountability partner? You know, it's consistency is key when it comes to tracking.
Huge.
And it's when it comes to goals and planning. So, you know, Chris and I have the ability to be each other's accountability partners, but we also use a project management tool that we have to track all of the things that we've got on the table. It keeps us very heavily updated. We've also got a lovely
and remind us,
OBM.
Because things fall out of your head.
Yeah, shit happens. Life happens.
Yeah.
Everything gets too difficult, and you need to kind of keep yourself accountable.
Yep.
So, and for those that are solo, there are a lot of accountability places through networking groups out there that are really good. Maybe it could be something we should look at doing as well for people. To keep you just on ball. So everyone knows better at it when we feel like we're responsible.
I've
for
got
someone else.
multiple accountability options. So I've got my Monday huddles with my 11:11 crew, and I've got fortnightly-ish with a bunch of mates through the Freelance Jungle, which is one of my networks that I'm in.
Yep.
And even if they do, you know, divert and end up being a bit more of a social thing, having that, you know, conversation with people who get it. Yeah, it's really good.
It helps, and it helps sometimes brainstorm and clarity.
Yeah, exactly.
well.
And there's nothing like a deadline.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
God,
I block every Monday morning because I've got, you know, 2 and a bit hours from the time I make my coffee to try and get my shit done that I said I would get done.
Yeah. But some tasks actually work well when you've got a tight deadline.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I know that has a lot to do with your mindset around about the task, but sometimes you do a better job and other things you'll fuck yourself over if
and
you
that's
leave
what I
it that
saw
way.
for the years that I was working in magazine publishing.
Yep.
There were 2-3 magazines in my department that released printed mags monthly, and that deadline, everyone pulled out all the stops, and then the week after, everyone was dead.
Yeah.
Because they had worked their asses off.
Yeah.
It's the burnout. Like you need to avoid the burnout.
Yeah.
It just
But no
kills
matter
you.
how many, so we did it 11 months of the year, because in December you'd push out 2 mags because the printers shut down in January.
Okay. Yeah.
And, you know, be the same cycle, but no matter how much you would plan and go, nah, this time I'm getting everything done.
You never did.
It never does.
No. Yeah. So,
Well, that leads us to the next common thing that happens with goal setting is, you know, pitfalls. What are the common pitfalls and solutions? And the first one is burnout, overwhelm.
Yep.
You know, you're not able to achieve it all. It feels like too much. Your list is too long. How are you going to do it? I'm too tired. And that's where the quarter at a time planning comes into play because you look at it 3 months at a time.
Yep.
And there'll be things at the end of the year you'll get to and go, fuck, I didn't do that. That's okay. Roll it to the next year. You know, you work on what you can work on, and you also be kind to yourself as you do this as well, because we are human and things happen, life happens, and sometimes shit you can't factor in happens, and it takes away from it all.
And you talk about, you know, rolling things over, like in life and business as well. There are those quarterly, 6 monthly, annual, but they're those 2, 5 and 10 year plans. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, none of us, we hope to be in business for a long time, but really there's not a lot of people who may or may not do the 5 and the 10 year planning. I'm not thinking about 10 years down the track, to be honest.
Jesus, I still
But
don't
at
know what I
some
want to be when I
point-
grow up. Like,
Yeah,
I
me
can't
either.
think that far ahead.
But you know,
I just haven't clicked on that I grew up already.
Yeah, no.
No.
Adulting, what's that?
But there are things that Em and I should be thinking about in
Yeah.
10 years' time because, you know, my
Yeah.
God, I might want to be on the world cruise around the world drinking martinis
Yes,
around
with
the
Christian
place
Hull,
in
who I'm
10
sure will be
years.
keeping
Maybe
doing
I'll just
it
come
after
with
this
you.
I
success.
think it should.
Yeah.
We'll be totally
We'll get our
remote.
OBM to run our business.
Yeah.
But there's, that kind
need
of
to
thing.
think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next
Yeah.
one is loss of motivation, which is often what happens too, and it ties quite
on a
heavily
daily
into burnout.
basis.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly right. And
Yeah.
that's where using this habit stacking and environmental design comes in. So it's your habits and your accountability, and it's your tracking tools and that kind of stuff too.
Absolutely.
And then another one is lack of accountability. So if you don't have someone to keep you accountable, then it becomes harder and harder to keep this stuff going.
Yeah.
And if anyone
So-
listening is in accountability buddy, let us know, because
Yeah,
we can
reach
create
out.
chats.
Yeah.
We've got
Yeah.
happy to do it ourselves,
Yep.
and we
Yep,
also
totally.
can refer you to other places that we know that do it. Like
Yeah.
there's so many out there.
Yep.
So it's really important, goal setting and planning. It doesn't have to sound as serious as it is. And like we said, we've got our wonderful guide that people can download
Totally.
and use as a guide to walk through your planning. And it'll also help you think about things in ways you might not have thought about and get your way through. But 3 months at a time.
Yep.
We're
Yep.
also working on a content calendar, just quietly for people. So have it all there, have it all at it, and have it somewhere where you can look at it regularly.
Yep.
As well is key.
Yep.
As well.
Yep. Absolutely.
But
100%.
plan for your business.
Yep.
You
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
have a plan.
Got a plan to succeed and
Try
you know,
and like
keep alive.
make money is usually everyone's plan.
Yeah.
Like make it a tangible goal.
But
Yeah.
how? Yeah.
Yeah, you'll actually feel so like successful in yourself for having achieved something when you do it. Like it's a big motivational push.
Yep.
Like I'm like, fuck yeah, I got this shit. I'm
Yeah.
all over it.
Yeah.
I'm a big girl. I'm a big
That's
business.
And you'll geek out over the most nerdy things.
Oh, yeah.
Like
hugely.
I paid myself super for the first time at the end of last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
And it's so
It's a huge
exciting.
thing.
And the whole process of working out how to actually put the money in the account was, fucking annoying. But now that I worked it out, and then I was just like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. And that's a big thing.
And
And
you
to
know what,
say
though?
goodbye to that money until I turn 90 or whatever age I'll be able to retire at this
Yeah.
point, I was just like, oh, shit.
I know, and
Yeah.
but for Chris and I being able to pay a salary, we survived. We've survived
We have.
January.
Yeah.
Well, I can't say it. We're not that far ahead yet.
Yeah.
But we have survived
Yep.
the off season for us,
Yep.
which is a huge thing, and normally can't. Normally
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah,
happen
no.
Yeah.
because
No.
of the timing of it all. Like
Yep.
to be able to just be able to take an income is wonderful.
Amazing. Yeah.
I mean, we'd all like more.
Yeah.
Everybody
But
would
always
like
more, but-
and there's room for this is part of our
It's
goal
part of the
setting,
planning,
isn't
right?
it?
Like it's part of the
Yes.
planning. If you talked to us about this a year ago,
Yep.
Yeah.
we were not where we are now.
No.
Yeah.
So we've put things in play, and my biggest thing for everyone, and I think it is for me, and I'm sure everyone is very, very similar, saying things out loud, putting it to the universe, putting it on paper,
God,
putting it wherever you put
yes.
it, but having it written down somewhere. To me, it's in my mind. It's
Oh.
in my subconscious.
It's in-
It mulls.
Yeah, and it's out in the universe and
Yeah.
it manifests. And, you don't have to be too woohoo because I'm not a
Yeah.
woohooey person.
either,
but
but it
there is
just
a thing
keeps
about
fucking
manifesting,
happening.
you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, look at our journey over
Oh,
the last,
hell
what?
yeah.
I can't tell you how many
Considering-
parking spots I manifested over Christmas.
Oh, fuck
it was
yeah.
great.
Me too.
Shout out
even,
to Elizabeth
like,
Eleanor. She taught me about manifesting.
But even like you look at the fact that we just randomly decided to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Look how much we've manifested.
And we were
by
going to
putting
just
it out
do
there.
a single season to see how it goes.
Yeah.
No.
And have
here we are,
fun. Yeah.
2025 later.
Yeah.
We pulled together a conference in what, like
Yep.
3 weeks?
Yeah. Felt like
Yep.
it.
Because we decided it over dinner one night.
Shout out to the buffet at the Star.
yeah, that's a great buffet.
Not
That was
sponsored,
good.
but
You
how
know.
good would that be?
Yeah.
Mm.
When you have people to keep you accountable, when you have the motivation behind you, and when you have a plan, things come together.
God.
Yeah.
The world's your oyster.
Then it's amaze balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The thing that I loved about my planning sort of days on the couch in front of Netflix over the break was looking back on the year as well and then going, oh, actually
Yeah.
quite
You know what?
good.
I was looking at your
Yes.
posts about your statistics that you pulled
Yes.
together.
Yeah,
and
how
they were
funny were
great.
they?
Yeah, but they were really interesting. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't have the energy to sit there and do that for me. But for our business. But I was like, I want to try and like set that up for next year
I
because I
agree.
think it would be a really interesting look
Yeah.
to really kind of make you go, well, fuck yeah, I did some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder I'm
Like it's-
tired.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but I feel like it takes the sting off the burnout a little bit.
Yeah, it
because
does.
you have actually achieved some stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
in and it's more tangible seeing the numbers
Yeah.
and the figures.
Yep, exactly.
Like us looking at our podcast results for 2024.
Yeah.
That was really exciting
That
to
was
see that
incredibly
tangible
exciting.
data.
Yep.
To see how we have performed and a lot
Mhm.
better than I think I expected us
Yeah.
to do it as well. It was quite nice.
Yeah. And it's, even if it's in the unfortunate situation where it's not quite as great as you were hoping when you started to look for the stats.
You've got a benchmark.
You got something.
You have
and
a
then
place
you go,
to start.
okay, so, calm your farm a bit. Don't be quite so,
No.
Big sky with your numbers. Just
But it's
be more realistic.
But that's the thing too. It gives you some perspective. So perspective is really important, and it gives you the ability to go, all right, well, this wasn't what I wanted. This is where I was, and now I've got somewhere to work from.
Exactly.
You've got a starting point to work from. You know how to measure and keep yourself accountable based off those original numbers.
And I used to hate looking backwards because all I would see would be the things that didn't get done, the money I didn't earn. And when I was an employee, it'd be all the projects we didn't finish all the overdue tasks in a sign. Like, holy shit.
But it's also, we're human beings, right?
Yep.
And I think there's something to, again, my biggest pet peeve with corporate businesses is the fact that they forget that their employees are people.
Yes.
And people need to have a break. People need to breathe. People have been through a lot. And the end of the year is always a shit show. A lot of these companies either don't wind down really at all, or they are still pushing people right up until the 24th of December. And then we all, crave and desperately need Christmas break. And then we all sit here like we are now going, well, fuck, that wasn't much of a break.
Yeah.
We haven't rested. And you've got
I'm going
people,
home for another break after we've done this.
You've got people who are just so tired.
Yeah.
That need to breathe. 1 or 2 days of not hitting targets is not going to kill your life.
Yeah.
Oh, God, no.
Look after your
definitely
people
not.
first, and then the rest will follow.
If you take your breaks...
It's so important.
Yeah, it's like the rabbit in the hare race thing.
Oh, God, yes.
I keep seeing all these videos on how to maximize your annual leave for 2024. Maybe we should find some and link them in.
Yeah.
There's ways, I think.
Annual leave?
I know,
What's
I don't know what that is.
now?
For those that can
Unpaid
take
leave?
it.
Yeah,
There's
for paid annual leave.
There's over Easter, because Easter and Anzac Day are really close together this time. You can take 4 or 5 days and end up with 10 off. There's ways to maximize for those that have the luxury of leave.
Yeah.
Don't know what that is.
No, me either.
Our version of leave is just not doing client work.
It's different, really, isn't it? And we will have a version of leave for this year sorted out as
Make
part
a
of
goal.
our
Make it a
planning.
goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I'm reminded, with goal setting and big sky thinking, and you talked about goals that you look back and go, oh, I didn't get to that, and whatever. And you got to celebrate the stuff that you have obviously ticked off your planning and everything. But there's always going to be those things that you don't get done, but it's not because you didn't have the energy or what, it's that something else actually took over.
The priorities.
I worked in my last paid gig in a university, and I worked for the dean, and she was at the end of her 7-year tenure, and she talked about her goals. She had the list that she started 7 years prior, and she said the amazing amount of stuff that wasn't ticked off, but that's because something else came up, and it's the time. Everything has a time. So really it is about looking at, if you didn't get it achieved, there's reasons.
Yeah.
And those changes or pivots.
Pivot.
How many times have I said pivot this episode?
Should probably do a pivot count.
Yeah. The pivots that you have to make in any business, like yourself or as an employee, they all become factors into your planning in the future.
Well, that's why you have the backup plan, right? The plan B. What happens if?
Yep.
You've got enough of you need your systems and processes and settings to be in a way that's AMSR. You need to have them in place in order to allow for the worst case scenario, right? Like if someone drops off the face of the earth, or if you get so look at me last year. I was so fucking sick last year.
Totally.
I don't think it's the sickest year I think I've ever had in my life. I don't think I had the numbers of months I was not sick were on one hand I could count them, and that fucked me over something fierce. But the fact that we have the infrastructure within our business to compensate, in theory, we're a bit better.
We'll hone it, but we will
now.
hone it.
But it's an internal process, right? It never stops. It's constantly changing. But if we had nothing, we would have been fucked. And if I was a solo person like you, Ral, we'd be fucked. Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah.
You got to have some kind of plan in place, and at least with your situation, you've got people like us who you could go, fuck, I need some help. Can you help me, please?
Yep.
And we can step in. You're having those relationships in place is really important. But having an idea, just at least in the back of your head, you need some kind of plan.
Something.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're like me and a mother of small children, I have to know what's going on in 6 weeks advance
Yeah.
at any given point in time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just can't talk. You know, when I have a few friends being like, "You want to catch up?" I'm like, "Oh, I'll be free in April.
Yep.
Just lock me in then."
Yeah.
Yep,
Otherwise,
right.
oh, sorry, they're busy then too.
Soz, yeah.
Half my April school holidays, so it's not going to work. Yeah, it's the never-ending thing. You need to have an idea in your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. Planning, totally important.
Get on it, people. Planning,
Yeah,
2025.
Plan.
Cool.
So
Download our book.
Awesome. Yeah, download the book and
Do it.
just do it.
Yep,
We'll check in
Just
with y'all
do it. Yeah,
in the
and
6-month mark and see how you're going.
Exactly.
we will.
And yeah, if you want accountability buddies or advice as to your goals or, you know, how you're planning yourself out, hit us up.
Yeah, please reach out. We do know a wonderful range of business coaches that we can tee up with people. We do know some amazing OBMs, online business managers. For those that don't know, if you need some help managing everything, we've got some people we can hit up.
Yeah,
Accountability,
take the work
whole
off your
lot.
plate.
Yeah. And it's not, there's nothing too scary about outsourcing if you need an extra hand.
Nope.
Yeah. And that whole a problem shared is a problem
Solved.
Solved?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, halved.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
Yeah.
you know, no offense, I'm not going to do the work for you, but I can help you come up with a smarter way to get around it.
Yeah, we've always got smarter ways for stuff.
Yeah. And just talking to someone else about it can make all the difference.
Raz, the queen of gaming the algorithms
Yes!
of life, as well as socials.
How many times have you had a problem and you've talked to somebody and they actually haven't given you the solution, but in the process of talking about it, you've come
your
up
brain
with
did
it?
it yourself.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes.
How
I've
many
had times where I've
times?
called our wonderful graphic designer
Yeah.
and gone, oh, fuck, why didn't I think of that? Like, it's
Yeah.
so goddamn obvious.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I was so deep in the weeds that I couldn't see the bigger picture at that point in
Exactly.
time.
Yes.
You sometimes just a perspective shift is a
Yeah.
huge
I had a
tool.
manager back in 1998. Christ, show me my age. And he came from super corporate. Shut up. Super corporate world. And he moved into this sort of smallish business. And he had always kept now would be like a pop fig type thing, like some sort of toy, squishy thing, whatever, stress
Pop
ball,
vinyl.
whatever, something on his desk. And he said he'd picked it up from IBM, I think it was, and all the developers back in the 90s would talk through their problems, sometimes internally, sometimes out loud, to whatever this inanimate object was on their desk
good idea.
to problem solve.
Wow.
Well, you're putting it out there. You're putting in a different context.
Yeah.
Your internal monologue, you can get bogged in your own head.
Yes.
So brainstorming off people, there's a lot of overthinkers out there that get and to the point of panic and almost like freeze. So you're having that external chat.
Yeah.
Again, it could, like you said, it could be to the wall. It could be to an object. It
Could be to your
another
health and
person.
well-being.
My
for the good
director of
officer.
well-being.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I talk out loud to my animals all the time too.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yep.
you know, getting it out there that it does work wonders. And everyone laughs at me when anyone knows me knows that I can talk underwater. But this is why I like to brainstorm a lot.
Yeah,
And
it helps you think. It's like how me typing helps me think as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
I need to put it out there to people, into the world, and my husband loves it because sometimes it'll be like 11 o'clock at night and I'll be like, let's have a chat. Just like Mr. Sun and Air over there does the same thing to you. I'm that person too that I'm like, I need to process all these thoughts in my brain
Chris,
right now
you're
and you need to
surrounded.
listen to me. Yeah, she cops it on both sides.
Yeah.
Chris gets me calling her when I'm walking and stuff, but it's my thinking time.
Yeah.
She's like trying to do work and I'm like, no, you listen to me while I walk.
See, Dan and I only communicate via memes when we hold our phones up to each other and go, look at this one, it's you.
Oh, really? My husband likes to talk to me about mechanical things, and then I look at him like, I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah.
Like our air conditioning currently, like he keeps being like, the compressor.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
always the compressor. Yeah.
what? And why are you telling me this? And okay. And then I get a text, it didn't work.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't think it was going to work, but I don't really know what you were doing, and I didn't want to ask because then
It's
you were going
worth
to
a
keep
shot.
telling me, and I didn't want to listen.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, go talk to your boyfriend about that. He's got his best mate. He could talk to. But it's, you know, you process it out loud. I mean,
Yeah.
It's how you work through.
That's right.
Work through things. So
Yes.
accountability is often where
Yep.
that falls back into.
If you got a problem, I'll solve it. You got the hook when my DJ revolves it. Ice, ice, baby. Dun, 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 dun. We'll have to clear the rights on that before I put that in the episode.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Okay, well,
Thanks for hanging
that's
out.
Great. We'll be back at the Bella Vista Hotel
We
podcast
are.
studio.
Thanks, Bella.
January is almost over by the time anyone listens to this podcast.
Yes.
Which means all of us are pretty much gearing up to start our
we're
real
already
world,
112 through the year, baby.
which is scary considering school doesn't go back till bloody second week of February. So most
that's
of us haven't even got
ridiculous,
a goddamn
honestly.
routine going yet.
And at least you're not in the area where you have heat week, where the schools have an extra week of school holidays.
What?
My nephew has an extra week of school holidays this year because he
Heat
changed
week.
schools.
Oh.
Yep, and they get what they call heat week.
What, is it because it's too hot?
Because it's so
Yeah.
hot out in Western New South
Ugh,
Wales.
yuck.
They get an extra week.
I mean, this year they're actually going back a week later than they were last year.
Yeah, so he's getting an extra week.
Oh dear Lord.
Yeah.
God,
Yep.
it's not easy. Yay, having kids.
His poor mother.
Party.
Yes.
Thoughts and prayers. That's all Auntie Bra's got.
That's all we got. Yep. You can
Thanks
laugh
for joining
from a
us, gang,
distance.
and all the tangents.
Yeah, peace out.
All right.
Plan yourself.
Thanks.
Check yourself.
Bye.